How much should you bid for a cleaning project? If you're too expensive, client is going to give it to your competitor. You're simply not going to get the project. If you're too low, then what happens is you're literally funding out of your pocket that cleaning project. And if you keep doing it for every other project that you have, then you're draining your bank account, eventually running yourself into a bankruptcy. There's a sweet spot and you have to know how to hit it. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss in this video. There are two schools of thought how to price the jobs, per square footage or per hour. Per square footage, we're going to look into it in one of the other videos because it takes a little more calculations. And if you're interested, then do let me know, hit that like button and let me know so I can put the video together and know that there is an interest. But in this video, we're going to go into the hourly. The reason I'd like to dive in and start with hourly is because it's more simplistic, especially for the startup and newer cleaners. Because then you're protecting yourself by an hourly rate. Let's say you gave somebody a quote and your quote was for 4 hours to complete the project. And due to inexperience, let's say this project is now taking you 6 hours. So what happens? If your agreement is on hourly basis, then you're going to get paid for those extra 2 hours. And next time you know that the project of that particular magnitude and scale takes 6 hours. So this is how we all get the experience. None of us, I started in 2009, had no clue how to price the jobs. There were jobs I underbid and then ended up paying from my pocket for those jobs. And there were a ton of jobs that I overbid and never got it. And before you do that, keep in mind when you're proposing a price to a customer, when you go with an hourly, you're more protected. There's a terminology called NTE that you can also use. If you're unsure, going back to that, recalling that job, which you think is going to take you 4 hours, but you need to protect yourself and say 6 hours. So you're giving a customer some sort of a budget. Then you can tell, hey, I'm going to do NTE, which is not to exceed price. And that is normal, especially in the construction industry, but you can also educate homeowners about that as well. So you would tell them, hey, my NTE is 6 hours, but I can go with 4 hours and I'm going to try to finish it. And what happens if I finish it in 4 hours, customer is happy and they most likely going to tip you. And if you go 5 or 6 hours, you're still protected. And assuming you did the job to the expectations, then at least the expectations initially were set correctly, which means customer is not pissed with you now and happy with your job, and next time we'll call you. So we're going to start diving into the numbers very shortly. And before that, I wanted to bring up a point. When pricing a job, it's super important that you outline your scope of work literally to the point. Why am I telling you? Because each task or lack of it will affect how much time it adds or subtracts from a task that we're doing at hand. Let's say there's a residential job and we're entertaining it, and the customer says, hey, don't worry about the basement and it has the refrigerator, don't worry about it. And then you just want to put, don't worry about the basement. So you're not going to the basement. And let's say now your team is working in the customer's house, and the spouse of the customer might say, hey, there's a refrigerator, would you mind going and hitting it for me? Now you know the contractual, you have the agreement that says, no, it's excluded. And then now you have the right to charge them more. So it protects you. So therefore be very specific about putting the service agreement and the scope of work in there and having customer side for your own protection. If you did not see the video where I talk about 11 questions you need to ask, how to come up with the price and the scope of work, then go check out after you finish this. If you're a newer cleaning company, then you might want to consider going a little lower than what the market charges, because people need to know who you are and what you're worth. And once your name is out there, then you can start increasing your prices gradually. If you're an existing company with a larger overhead, then you have to account for it, certainly. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over the numbers. This is how to calculate overhead. And overhead is a super important thing and a lot of people don't see it. When you're doing the calculations, do the price shopping, right? Check out what the other companies around yourself, around your area are charging. Know your minimum wage of your state, but also know your living wage. So technically you don't want to be at the minimum wage at all. Maybe you want to be on a living wage or a little higher, because if you're paying your cleaners a little higher than the living wage, more than what the other companies are paying, then you're going to attract naturally the best cleaners. And if you treat them well, then they're going to stay with you. And if they stay with you and they're happier cleaners, especially as your company grows, then they'll bring you more customers and they're going to be more ethical as ethical you become. So this will eventually allow you to transition from being an employee inside of the company to actually start working on the company, on the business. So eventually you stop exchanging your time for money. So I put this calculator together for you, and we're going to do 2 scenario planning as well, just to give you an idea how to utilize this properly. You might need to at some point go ahead and utilize your CPA and accountant to pinpoint your overhead expense, because overhead expense is not visible. So we figured out that you want to be higher than the living wage of your state and figure out what other people are paying so you know how to attract. let's say that number is $20 an hour was this ridiculous hyperinflation. So who knows where we're going to be very soon. So let's go with, let's say a cleaner rate is $20 an hour. Now we need to figure out this overhead because the profit is based on what we'd like to do and what we settled for. And if we're too busy, then we might want to have more profit. If we're not busy, we might want to settle for a lower profit. So that overhead right in between, we need to figure it out. You might already start using your accountant to help you pinpoint this, but I'm just going to give you the easy formula how to come up, and I'll also show you the formula. So there are two ways. You can either recreate the spreadsheet yourself, or you can go to ansimpact.com, link will be down below, and download this formula for yourself if that's what you'd like to do. But I will open up all the formulas so you know how to use it and how to create it yourself. All right, so I'm calling it ANS Cleaning Calculator, and we're gonna go for the expenses first, and then we're gonna come up with a monthly overhead because we know how much we pay a month, which will help us to come up with hourly overhead. And this is the formula. This is the B312. So we're calculating this monthly overhead into 12. So we come up with the yearly cost, and then we're dividing it to 365 number of days in a year, and then we're dividing it to 24 number of hours in a day. So what we're doing with this is, regardless whether you have a job or not, you know every hour of every single day is costing you that. By assigning that number to overheads with the numbers, then you are going to make an income. But right now, whether you have a job or not, it's an overhead. This is the expense you have to cover regardless a month. And that is how we're going to calculate it. Let's say it's a marketing and advertisement. Most of it, word of the mouth that you do, perhaps some social media posts. So let's say you're spending $1,000 in marketing and advertisement costs. So you're just going to put in here. And as you can see, it's spitting out $1.37 an hour. Every hour of every single day, you're spending $1.37 when you spent $1,000 on marketing and advertisement in general. Let's say you have general liability, that's $1,000. And let's say you have $250, $300, well, let's just put $500 for car vehicle insurance. So we're going to do $1,500. So that's $2 in hourly overhead. Cleaning supplies, you know, we get them. We don't get RTUs, we don't get ready to use. We get highly concentrated product, and therefore we save and we get discount and bulk discount. And therefore we're going to go, let's say I spent $350 on cleaning products. That's 48 cents. Office supplies and uniforms. You normally buy them once. You don't have to buy them all the time. I'm going to throw in another $300 here. Utilities, they skyrocketed here in Maryland. I don't know your state, but I presume nowhere they are cheap now. So I'm going to put $400. Rent and utilities, let's say you pay $1,750 for a place that you rent. If it's your basement, then this cost is going to be zero, right? So when it's zero, it just subtracts from that number. But let's say you have a place and you pay $1,750 for it. For fuel, you're driving $400 a month. Vehicle cost, let's say it is you're paying $400 for it too. And then other repairs, let's throw in another $700 for it. So $6,800 a month we're spending regardless whether we have jobs or not, which means that is the amount we have to have. And then after this amount, we have profit and living expenses. It doesn't include none of your living expenses or none of that. It's just the work-related expenses. So total overhead hourly cost is $9.32. So which means every hour of every day when you breathe, sleep, doesn't matter, relax and rest, you're spending $9.32 on this business for the overhead. And then we took that $20, as you guys may recall. So we're going to take that number and let's say we want to pay somebody $20 an hour. So check this out. Net labor plus overhead. Now it puts us at $20.32. So which means that is your cost. How much it'll cost your overhead and net, and it does not have your profit yet. And now I've got desired profit. So that will depend on the customer. If you are too busy, then you might want to go with higher profit margins. If you're not busy, you might want to have lower. If the customer is easygoing and there's a lot of companies bidding for it, and you really want that project, then you might want to hold your appetite a little down and have lesser profit, versus when you notice a customer who's pain in the butt and always blaming all the cleaning teams that they were before the customer, then you know that the customer is most likely going to be a difficult customer. So you might want to mark up your profit in there. So let's say for intents and purposes of this video, I'm just going to go with 25%, which sounds realistic. So my hourly rate is $36.64, which means with an anticipated profit of $7.33. However, as a cleaner, I know what the cleaning companies off my scale charge in the area, and let's say they charge $35, so I need to scale it back. So I know it's like $36. Hey, that's probably a little too expensive for my area. I'm gonna miss out on a lot of jobs. So I'm gonna try to get my appetite down to 28%, and that puts me at $35.18 with an anticipated profit after paying off everyone with $5 an hour per person. So if you have that person working 10 hours, right, that's like what, $50? And if you have 10 of them working, it's $500 every hour. And we'll see how the numbers are starting to work as we do the scenarios. If you like the content, you know what comes next. Please hit that like and bring in some of your friends and subscribe to the channel so we can all raise and grow, because that is the intent. I'm doing this so I can pay it forward and help my fellow cleaners and immigrants to grow and hit the new milestones over and over. And thank you for doing that. Now we're gonna do two common scenarios. Check out what happened, right? Anticipated profit. So your hourly rate is $35 and anticipated profit is $5.86. So let's say a project you estimated, remember that project that we talked about? Let's say the project takes you 4 hours to do it. Then cost per service, yours is $140 and you're making $23.45. So basically what we're doing is we narrow down your overhead. We did a little bit of research and defined how much we're gonna pay a cleaner. Then we added the overhead, and then we added our anticipated profit, and we came up per hourly rate. And then what we did further is determined how much time it takes to provide a requested service, per individual service. And now we're gonna go to a monthly too. So there's two ways. Again, you can provide, if it's residential especially, you can say, hey, per cleaning, it's going to take me 4 hours to do your service, and my rate will be $140 for you. It doesn't matter how often you do it. But in general, the larger the interval between the cleaning services, the larger your amount, because you take more time to complete it. The lesser the interval, the lesser the per service amount gets, because now it's quicker. It doesn't get as dirty. All right, so we're gonna do scenario planning. And as you guys can see, I put like scenario 1 here and scenario 2. So this is a residential. I'm gonna take 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse. And here for the commercial, I'm gonna take on average a 3,000 square feet office. So when you have all hourly price, you can do amazing things with it, right? So I can come up and do the estimated price, which I'm doing per service. And let's say it's actually 2 hours, 2 people, but 5 hours. So I can do 10, and it would put me at $351 when I'm making $58 net profit. So let's go back to 4 hours, which normally takes for residential cleaning. Scenario 1, what we're doing is, so with the scenario 1, what we're doing is we're going, so 1,500 square feet townhouse, and it's 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So what we need is the frequency, because we already know how much it's gonna cost. We already said it's gonna take 4 hours per service. The cost per service will be, so which is gonna equal this and get this number right here. So we've got $140 a service, and we need to figure out the cost per month. And these numbers can go here as well. And you can keep adding tabs, right? It's just the Google Sheets. When you do bi-weekly service, how many weeks in a year? There are 52 weeks, right? So you perform throughout a year 26 times. So because when you have a cost per service, you need to come up with a cost per year. So you can then divide it to 12. Just to take a shortcut, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a formula on the fly so you guys can see it and create it yourself as well. I'm going to multiply the cost per service, and I'm going to open the parentheses here because it's going to be 2 multiplications, and I'm going to multiply it to 26 so I come up with yearly, and I close the parentheses and divide it to 12. This is my cost per month. So as you can see, it's $304 for this customer if I go there bi-weekly, every other week. And you can also put it in this formula, I'll tell you the profit as well, which is very simple, right? So if I'm doing it here, let's just do it down here. And we've got still 4 hours. Let's say we're anticipating 4 hours. I'm gonna do the same thing right here. So I'm doing I'm opening the parenthesis. I'm gonna do this. And then I'm multiplying it to 26, dividing it to 12. I'm coming up with $304. You see? 88 cents. It's the same because it's rounded up here. And then if I copy this formula and paste it here, it tells me how much money I'm making. So I'm making $50 net profit after utilizing somebody else's services to do the service, because I'm paying a person $20 an hour. $50 I'm making per month. And if it's 12 months, then I'm making $600 profit while I'm running my business and not doing the cleaning. But if I were to do the cleaning myself, then remember those 4 hours that you have are like $80 here. $80 plus $50. Now you're making $130. It's actually, sorry, it's not $80 because they're like 2 services, right? You're doing it bi-weekly, so it's 160 plus 50. So you do the math, it's like $210 a month. So it's a lot more profit when you do the work yourself. But eventually you get so busy that you have teams working and they make more money per project, but then accumulate that sum makes worth for you to continue. Okay, now that you have the residential cost, which is $304.88 with an anticipated profit of $50.81 in your pocket while someone else is doing the project and you're creating working environment for them and employment. When you have more of these, they will accumulate. So let's take a look at the scenario 2. And in scenario 2, we're going to do the same thing, but to change up the things, we're going to go with weekly. So we need to know a cost per service, weekly cost, and then multiply the number of weeks and divide it to 12 so you can come up with a yearly cost and then divide it to 12 to come up with a monthly cost. So what I'm going to do is same thing, equals here. I'm going to open the parentheses. I'm going to get the cost per service and I'm going to multiply it to 52. So because they're 52 weeks, and then I'm going to divide it to 12. And why we got an error here, let's check it out. And that's good. So you guys seeing this? So it goes here, open this. I'm going to get a cost per service, right? This. I'm going to multiply it to 52 and divide it to 12. Oh, I need to close the parentheses here. And there you go. So here's the math, $609. And then I have copy and paste it here. So I'm making $101 in profit every month from this account. If I have them both, then $150. All right, this should help. If there's additions and questions, pin in a comment. Check out this video. Keep crushing your cleaning business and keep growing it. And I'll see you right inside of this video. Thanks. Bye-bye.